Francesca Amato Banfield. Tonight, we are doing an extremely important episode called Judging the Judges. We are doing this because judges all across our land have been damaging our parents' parental rights, both mothers and fathers, and harming extensively our children across the United States of America. And we have put up with it for far too long. It's not just the judges, unfortunately, it's the service that was put to supposedly protect our children. It's known as Child Protective Services. We call it Child Predator Services. But tonight we are calling out the judges, and I am calling out two judges in Ulster County, New York. I'm actually the founder of the National Coalition for Family Court and CPS Reform. I became an advocate several years ago because of what I was witnessing in the Ulster County Family Court, and I thought I was all alone, and I found out I was far from alone. As they continue to place my little boy at risk, even though I was primary caretaker and primary custodial, and the only person to support him, every time I went to court, which was literally a rotary door, and every time I went to court with a different police report, or he was in jail, or he was having domestic violence issues and criminal issues and repeat arrests and drug issues and probation that he's always on, the court ignored the fact that he was endangering my son. Now my child is 9, and since I reported this one particular judge I'm about to speak of regarding 70 cases in Ulster County, New York, victims that I work for, he decided to retaliate against me. The first judge was Marianne Mizell of Ulster County Family Court in Kingston, New York. And even though we had trial for well over a year with professionals and expert witnesses begging her to protect my child and give supervised visitation to my son's father, she refused to do so. She instead told me that she would have me arrested if I didn't send my child unsupervised. After that, when she finally recused herself because I reported her for abuse, I got to go over to the court of Anthony McGinty, and he decided to give sole custody to someone that he actually put in the custody order as being criminal with a problematic history of criminal contempt, domestic violence, and drug addiction as the more suitable parent. Even though I have an immaculate background and I've never been in trouble with the law in my entire life, he even arrested me and tried to keep me in jail for 60 days, but I was out overnight thanks to my attorneys and the fact that he violated all of my rights. You have endangered my 9-year-old son. You have endangered countless children in Ulster County. We have 3 dead children in Ulster County, New York. And now I'm going to have another one of my advocates, Rosie Caruso, speak up next, as soon as I can find her on here. I am not seeing Rosie Caruso, so I'm going to move this over to FCLU Richard Provost, FCLU President of West Virginia.
My name is Richard Provost, the FCLU Chapter President for West Virginia, and also the leader for National Coalition, West Virginia, CPS, court reform, what have you. I'm the first person to beat a true CPS kangaroo court procedure, not once, but 6 to 8 times. They kept dragging me back into court. After 5 years, I'm back to producing music now, helping Mrs. Banfield with some instrumental tracks to put on her episodes. 2000, I'll go for circuit court is Wood County. It's Parkersburg, Wood County, West Virginia. Family court judge, C. Darren Tallman. Wood County Circuit Court, Jeffrey B. Reed. Circuit Court Judge, Robert A. Waters. They allowed my 2-year-old son in 2005 to get beat. He almost lost his life to head and brain trauma, so forth. 2012, I was illegally taken to court for 2 years, and I beat him, but they still ended up giving his mother some visitation. Well, it's not actually his mother anymore, but that's a long story. So yeah, it's mentally destroyed me, my family. I don't really want to speak too much on it, but yeah, I'm going to go after them. The judges, I don't care, CPS in Wood County, all of them.
Thank you, Richard.
You're welcome.
I'm going to turn this now to Jennifer C. Kircher. As soon as I find you there. Can you wave? Okay, and go.
Hi, my name is Jennifer C. Kircher. I am the Duchess and Putnam chapter leader for the New York, for the National Coalition for CPS and Family Court Reform. Sorry if I said that backwards. Tonight I'm calling out Judge Christopher Cahill of Ulster County Court that took away my precious, now 4-year-old daughter, and gave him to a domestic abuser. He abused me while I was still pregnant. Took no police reports. The same thing. I could go on and on, just like Rich said, but he took away my little girl, forced me to either do visitations unsupervised with them only, with his parents who were also abusers to me, used intimidation, domestic abuse, constant verbal abuse. So there was no visitation, it was just intimidation. So I felt for the protection of myself and my daughter that I had to step down from that. And no more will I take it. So right now I just want to call out Judge Cahill and what you have done to this family and what you have done to countless other children. We will not stand for it anymore.
Thank you, Jen. The next one is Krystal Blackburn.
Hi, my name is Krystal Blackburn, and I'm an addiction therapist with 13 years in mental health and addiction. At the time I left a domestically violent relationship, my husband found out I was going to leave, and he had me jailed on false domestic violence charges. After he had me falsely arrested, I left South Carolina. In the family court system of the 6th Judicial Circuit, the South Carolina state of Lancaster, South Carolina, Judge Sprott took my child on false charges, and he told me that once I had the charges resolved, that I would have my son back. Well, I continued to fight this for 3 years. I went almost 9 months with no contact with my child. I have no other legal issues. I've never had any run-in with the law. This is Judge Sprott.
Bring it a little bit closer and hold it for a second. Thank you.
After I left this, I returned home to West Virginia. I wound up working in the state of Kentucky as a DUI, a state certified DUI instructor. I worked and did anger management and parenting classes through the state of Kentucky, and yet they still continued to not let me see my child in the courts of South Carolina. And when my husband died eventually of stage 4 colon cancer, Judge Sprout said he did not care what the South Carolina state law said. He did not care what the Supreme Court law said, that he was the judge and he was going to do what he wanted to do. And he placed my 10-year-old child with my mother-in-law, who I had proven was not a very good person. She was also one that was domestically violent. And I can see why women do not want to leave domestically violent situations, because nobody wants to walk away with the clothes that they had on their back and lose their child. Nobody wants to be me. You know, family court is a kids for cash business. And then unfortunately, my ex-mother-in-law, she has all the cash. She took all the life insurance that I was supposed to have. And I've had 2 lawyers say that I would never have a fair trial in the state of South Carolina, because she was bankrolled and stole the life insurance that me and my son was supposed to have. And on what I make in meager wages to survive, I would never be able to fight her in a court of law to retain custody of my child. And that if I wanted to see my child, I would have to sign over my child, and I had to do a mediated joint custody. and I still don't see him, except maybe one time a month.
I'm very sorry, Krystal. Thank you. I'm going to go to Brian Robertson.
Well, hello, everyone. I have not been able to see my daughter in over 5 years. DSS got involved. They falsified neglect petitions against me and my wife. They've split up my family. They put us in jail recently under threat. They threatened my wife and forced her to come to New York under threat of taking our daughter and putting her in foster care. They have forbid any and all contact with my own biological daughter, who is now 7. I can't email, can't text, can't talk on the phone, can't do nothing. My wife can only see her when is given permission. There was never an allegation of abuse made, yet they forced my daughter on a fishing expedition to go through 2 medical exams for sexual abuse. Now, Francesca knows a lot of research on this. I've been studying law for 5.5 years now. That's why one of the reasons me and Francesca became friends. What they're doing is illegal to us. They do this stuff to abuse us, because under Title 4E and Title 4D, and I can show you under the Social Security Act, Section 438 and Section 403 is 2 of the sources I have found. They get funds for doing what they're doing.
That's right.
It's not about your rights, it's about money, and that's all it's about.
Brian, can you name the judge in the court, please?
Judge Anthony McGinty, our favorite person.
There he is, folks. And what's the court?
Hey, Ulster County Family Court. And the most amazing thing is, we don't live in the state. My wife has not lived in this state since before this happened. Forced my wife to do 4 months in jail. They admitted and they lied in court so many times on my wife, and then come back later and say, well, yeah, she did jump through all our hoops, but, you know, we want her to do it all over again. They filed fraudulent misdemeanor warrants against us and made up allegations on that. I knew better than to go to New York, so I turned myself in North Carolina, and you see I'm not in jail. Neither is my wife now.
Now.
They forced her to do a whole 4 months. I did a month and a half, got out on bond. The courts down there said, what kind of legal wrangling are they doing to do what they did, because it's illegal?
I have to say thank you, Brian, because we only have 2 minutes, and Ryan is a talk show host, so he likes to talk like I do. Thank you, Brian. Okay, I'm going to go to Rhonda.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm going to read my statement. My name is Rhonda McFetridge. I'm a deeply concerned grandmother and mother to a protective mother who was treated like a criminal for trying to protect her child from abuse when CPS, law enforcement, and the family court failed to do so. Judge Yahara Lisa Gutierrez in the 65th District Court in El Paso, Texas, contributed greatly to my daughter's maltreatment and to my granddaughter's horrific abuse. Her irresponsible rulings have continuously put my granddaughter at risk and have caused irreparable harm to her, her mommy, and to our whole family. Judge Gutierrez, how can you possibly justify taking custody away from my granddaughter's father in 2014 because of concerns about sexual abuse and neglect, but then turn around and give him extended, standard, unsupervised visitation with my granddaughter in the same court order? Your order says the material allegations are proven to be true and therefore merited a change in custody. So what were you thinking when you gave him all that time alone with her? It makes absolutely no sense, and it endangered my granddaughter and set the stage for everything that has happened since. As far as I'm concerned, you are without excuse. You know the child abuse laws in the Texas Family Code, and yet you fail to uphold them and to protect a minor child in your court. Failing to protect a child from abuse is a crime. Due to your repeated failure to protect my granddaughter, you forced my daughter into a position she should never have had to be in. She did what any loving, protective parent would do when faced with the same horrible situation. All you did was empower and enable an abuser, and subject my granddaughter to further abuse and extreme trauma. You had the power to help them, but you chose to help the abuser instead. You were more concerned about your harmful court order being broken than you were about my granddaughter's safety.
They do.
With the stroke of a pen, you sentenced my granddaughter to a life of abuse and painful separation from her mommy, which is the worst thing you could do to a mother and a child. They haven't seen or talked to each other for 18 months because the abuser has complete control over everything, thanks to your latest court order. And he has ignored and blocked phone calls and most of the cards and packages that have been mailed to her. What must my granddaughter be thinking? What has she been told? I'm here to tell you that her mommy loves her. I love her. Her grandpa loves her. Her family and friends love her. We miss her and we want her. She has not been forgotten or abandoned. She and my daughter should not be punished for trying to escape the abuse you would not protect them from. My granddaughter deserves to be safe and she needs her mommy. I will not be silent. I will continue to advocate for her until she is safe at home with her mommy and justice is done for her.
Thank you so much. Alicia Bird.
Yes.
Go ahead, honey.
My name's Alicia Bird. This is Judge Perryman.
Put it up, honey. Up, up, up.
Oh, sorry. This is Judge Perryman.
And push it a little forward. Just a little forward.
Is that better?
Perfect. Hold it
Okay.
and go.
I am calling her out because although my case began in Dallas County in Texas, it was transferred to her court in Henderson County after CPS removed my children due to a false allegation made by a babysitter. I have given CPS evidence of these text messages proving that I did not abandon my children. I did provide food, diapers, clothes, etc., everything needed. And they continue to go ignored. You also told me that what happened in Dallas wasn't your problem and that I don't need to come into your court bitching. Well, I know that it may not be your fault what happened in Dallas, but I am entitled to due process. And by you denying me due process, my children have remained in foster care for now 6 months. I plan to do everything I possibly can to get my children back, and I refuse to submit to services that I don't need and never have needed. I'm a good parent. I have several witnesses, letters from neighbors, etc. Way more proof than CPS has that I'm bad. So I just want her to follow the law and do what's right and return my children. So I don't know.
Thank you so much. You did great. Thank you.
Thank
Carmel Foster.
Yes, Carmel Foster, Solano County, Judge Christine Carringer. I have a very, very strong and clear message for you, Judge Carringer. You have violated my civil rights, my rights as a woman, my rights under my health care, my environmental protection. You have robbed me from my 14th Amendment. You've refused you have refused to listen to both of us. You've taken every single attorney away from me. I have paid for 4 attorneys, Justin Tabayon, Pamela Jones, Rich Lofty, as well as you have gotten a realtor, Suzanne Rocher, who actually advertises on Crown 4 in San Francisco, specifically for divorced people's homes. They have robbed everything from me and my family. You have literally put me out in the street like a dog. You've done the same to my daughter. You have forced me to be part of IRS fraud. Yes, you did. You wanted to force me to be part of short sale fraud. You have violated my HIPAA rights. Judge Christine Carringer, it's not over. We in California are actually demanding that we're going to drain the swamp of bad judges, CPS, lawyers, and all court administrators. We are coming for all of you. Assembly Bill 249 called political reform. Money is the root of all evil.
Yes.
And we are going to follow the money. 100,000 people in California have actually approved AB 249. We are talking about 78% liberals, independent voters, 80% Democrats, and about 81% Republicans. We are sick and tired of this corruption. You will disclose. You will let us know who your top 3 funders are, because this is money motivated. We in California, we are saying enough is enough. We want AB 249 on the ballot. The voters need to be told the truth. We want transparency. Governor Jerry Brown, you appointed Judge Christine Carringer. She was not elected. It is just fair that the voters in California get transparency. We will drain the swamp of bad judges. This is Carmel talking on the behalf of 270 victims under Judge Christine Carringer. We will fight this. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Melanie, you're next.
Hi, my name is Melanie Lindemann, and I am here to call out Judge Todd W. Westfall.
Hold it a little bit closer, and a little to your left. And down, down. Right there, hold it. Down. Right there, don't move. Okay, go.
I am calling him out of Brown County, Minnesota, 5th Judicial District, who has been my judge for the last 10 years. And Judge Westfall, if you take a look at this face is going to be your worst nightmare. Do not forget this face. I am coming after you for destroying my children. You have destroyed the 10 years out of my children's lives, from 4, 6, and 7 years old until now as 14, 16, and 17-year-olds. You have destroyed their lives and happy lives as grade schoolers, and now into high school. You have caused my oldest son to be suicidal. Do not tell me that this is not child abuse.
Hold it up a little bit closer. Hold it there for a minute. Okay, go ahead.
I also have this, marks on my son's back from being thrown to the ground by his abusive father, attached with a police report. Do not tell me that this is not child abuse. I am sick and tired of how you have treated my family. This mama bear is gonna roar as so loud, you're gonna go deaf, because I am not staying silent anymore. I don't care what happens. You have destroyed 3 of my cubs' lives, and it's you and child predator services and the attorneys and everybody in the gang. We are gonna drain the swamp. No more Title IV funding, and enough is enough. This has damaged my children way too much and has caused too much damage. They are now emotionally wrecked. They have been destroyed and causing educational damage, failing school. Remember this face, Judge Westfall. I am coming after you, and I am your worst nightmare.
Thank you, Melanie. I'm glad you spoke up for yourself. and you're not being a victim of domestic violence anymore. I'm proud of your voice. God bless you for that. Fatima.
Hi. I was kind of like falling asleep. I don't know why. I kind of like got a little tired. But yeah, the judge that I want to.
Fatima, hold on a second. Fatima, just put your volume a tinge down and then go ahead and report your judge.
Like that is fine?
Yeah, that's better. Go ahead.
Yes, the judge that I want to expose today, his name is, let me see, because I can barely, where is him at? Ay, caray, 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 caray. I'm trying to see. It's because I don't know. Oh, it's Judge Honorable Judge Robert H. Oberbelling.
Okay, dishonorable Judge Robert H. Oberbelling. From what county and state? Hold it up, hold it up, hold it up, and put it a little closer to the screen. I cannot see that at all.
The one on top where my finger is pointing.
Okay, we can't see it, so I'm just going to have you read it. The county and state and what this judge has done to your daughter. Horrible things.
The county is Maricopa County, and the state is Arizona. I mean Mesa, Arizona. What happened is that this judge, whenever I had my proof of evidence that I completed everything that was required from my case plan, from CPS, but you see here in Arizona it's called DCS. This past August court hearing, he failed to listen to me. He says, I don't want to see it. He told me in the court, I don't want to see it. You're going to have your chance in the trial. And I was like, no, why do we have to extend the days? And then the day for my trial is going to be longer. It's going to be, it's going to be on September the 27th. I was like, you can wait. And because they moved, even though I had my proof of evidence that I completed everything it was required for me to complete by DCS, they require me to take this therapy. It's called DBT therapy, which is for people that are very violent, and I'm not even violent.
But hold on, and I just want to, let me just clarify something because it's a little staticky, because I've already interviewed her and we did a pre-interview, and her daughter is presently being abused and did not come from a bad home. She was required to do things, but she doesn't have a background that she would need to be required to do things to get her child back who's currently being abused. I just want to make that clear because your sound does not sound good. And so the judge did what they do, put the court date out too far, and is now threatening to have your daughter adopted out. Is that right? Or put in foster care?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
And I was like very upset because you see, I've been doing everything they require me to do. Why do you have to switch my case to severance and adoption? You know, that's
Correct.
rude. I mean, that's a violation of my civil rights violation. Not to only let one side, like CPS side of the story talk. They say she's incapable of parenting. When I raised my daughters and she was born all the way to now by myself. Right now she's 11, but at the time of the removal she was 9. She's been in foster care for already 20 months. I mean, I work on everything. They told me I have no drugs in my system. I have no criminal record. I have no, and even my daughter admitted it to her therapist that I never beat her. I was a good mother, and she wants to come back with me, and they still don't let her come back.
And just real quickly, because you got like 30 seconds left, she's already been seen with bruises, right? And
Yes.
Being touched inappropriately, correct? I don't want to. Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, Fatima.
She told me, but then they told me, I mean, the person who supervised my visits with her, they don't let her talk. We cannot talk.
No, they don't let her tell the truth of what's happening to her. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Fatima. Thank you, honey.
against them, you know.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to go to Wayne. Wayne Elder. Hold on. Okay, the floor is yours, sir.
Okay, I'm Wayne Elder. I am a retired Army officer. I have 20 years of service in the military, 14 in the National Guard, 6 on active duty. Part of my service, part of my oath of office was I swore to defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. The domestic enemy in my mind, and I think a lot of others would agree, is the largest threat to this country right now. It's destroying families. The judge that I want to expose in this is Thomas Wilmore, and he's of First District Court in Cache County, Utah. That judge, through his actions, and has devastated financially my 7-year-old son and I to the point of homelessness, no motor vehicle anymore, and it's just been extortion to the max. When I lost a better paying job in January of 2015, I immediately followed the state statute and filed a petition to modify child support based on the substantial change of circumstances that occurred. And I had a letter from the employer saying there was a reduction in force through no fault of my own. I lost that employment. It was in the oil field. Prior to that, they had a very high child support order against me because of that higher employment. But when I lost that job, the court order signed in December of 2015 by that judge guaranteed that I would have more overnights and that I should have my child support modified because I had that substantial change of circumstances. So I filed a petition to modify immediately according to state statute, and that judge failed to address that. He completely ignored it, and they continued to extort my paycheck at the prior wages for the next 2 years and 2 months. And you know, I worked full time at a job that was a good paying job for this area. It was $12 an hour. And I had my son 43% of the time. And that's important to know because that judge and everybody else involved in this extortion could care less about my son being with me or whatever. So they took so much money that they left my take home pay at $800 a month net income. And my rent was $700 a month. For a solid year and a little over a year, I worked at that job for $12 an hour, struggling, and had to beg and borrow every week to make ends meet, and kept getting further and further in the hole. And finally, 2 years and 2 months after my petition to modify, after I went through the state Office of Recovery Services, I finally got a court trial after pretrial conference and pretrial conference and pretrial conference. I finally got a trial, and that judge showed nothing but bias and prejudice, and he didn't mention one thing about the welfare of my son being with me 43% of the time, and them taking so much money we couldn't make ends meet. He could care less about that. It was all about how much money they could extort from me. And his common theme was, how, you know, we're going to maximize your child support. So he ordered me to pay child support as if it was based on a job that paid $24 an hour, which is impossible to obtain around here starting. And so anyway, I know I'm limited on time. I could say so much more, but I wanted to say this, and I think this here, I'm speaking on behalf of myself and everybody else involved, that judicial misconduct, judicial immunity, and judicial corruption can all be used against whistleblowers like we're considered whistleblowers now. Without the information to start a public debate, we're lost. The people being able to question our government and hold it accountable, that's the principle that the United States of America was founded on. So if we want to protect our God-given and constitutional rights, we should be protecting that principle. When those in power try to hide under the guise of judicial immunity, we the people call them out on it. And when they try to scare us into sacrificing our basic human rights, we won't be intimidated, we won't give up, and we will not be silenced. I just want Judge Wilmore to know that I'm going to be steadfast in my cause. I'm going to stand up for what's right, and I'm going to defend rights of others because that's what I swore to do as an officer of the United States Army, and that's what his oath was also. And he failed tremendously on that, and he's continued to fail, and he's destroyed who knows how many families. But my job as a Christian and a soldier of the Lord is to defend the people that need that. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to me.
Awesome. Okay, Connie.
Corinne.
Oh, Corrine, I'm sorry.
Okay. Hi, my name is Corinne. I'm from Berks County, and tonight I'm calling out Judge Bucci. You have failed to keep my sons and myself safe from an admitted drug addict and a domestic violence and domestic abuser. Because in Berks County, we can't get PFAs because we weren't physically abused. They do not see mental, emotional, and as you don't see it as abuse unless we're physically beaten. Because of the fact that my abuser is my husband, they ignored the fact that I was sexually assaulted as a type of abuse. He failed to let my abuser hit rock bottom after he relapsed from rehab and refused to go to inpatient treatment, and gave him custody of my son. 2 years later, he has not stopped and has drugged me in and out of court about 5 times since December, and refused to give me a vehicle, even though the father has 3 vehicles. I have no car and had primary custody of my children. You've given him custody of my 5-year-old and my 15-month-old son, and my husband has shown up using drugs that he was in rehab for, and he's gotten no repercussions because of this. And I have not seen my sons in a month or talked to them. You have allowed this to happen because he's had no repercussions for any of his for anything that he's gotten done. You have no knowledge of background of narcissistic or domestic abuse or violence or mental disorders in general. You take children away from their mother and it's equivalent to death. My abuser has kept my sons away from me because you've given him the power to feel he's above the law. Mm-hmm. You've ordered a psych eval from a completely biased doctor who has told him that he should have complete custody of my children. You've allowed your courtroom to turn into a 3-ring circus, allowing lawyers to act in an unethical manner when children's lives are at stake and they're in your hands. You refuse to allow me to speak, and you refuse to allow me to state my case. You also have refused to allow the fact that I have an older daughter who's been alienated from her younger siblings, and my sons have been alienated from their mother, and parental alienation is child abuse. You refuse to see the truth, and your reputation is and has been, it all depends on the day with you, and it's not fair that my children's lives should depend on whether you had a good day or a bad day. Mm-hmm. It should be based on the facts and not on hearsay. It should be based on the hardcore truth and not baseless allegations and rumors and unethical behavior by people that have money to write a big check. And it's not fair that I've been financially abused by my husband and put into a position where I'm not able to fight for my children.
I'm very sorry, and thank you for your story.
Thank you.
Lisa Knight, you're next. Lisa Knight.
Hi. Okay. Can everybody see me?
Yes, go ahead. I need you to face forward at the camera. There you go. Perfect.
Okay. Since my daughter was taken in 2013, she's been medically neglected and abused. She's been CPS has taken her from her father 3 times, if not more. CPS sends me letters, but they never they always give her back to him. And there's also a California statute 3030 that says no one who has to register as a sex offender can have custody of a child, which he is a level 3 registered sex offender. The first judge, there's 3 separate judges. The first judge is Howard Harrelson of Oklahoma County. And the second judge is, he's a commissioner of Kern County, and his name was James Compton. Oh, I did have a picture ready. Okay. Okay. I don't know if you can see that.
You're not aiming it at the camera at all. Nope, you got to aim it this way to your left, to your left, to your left, and up. To your left and up, up, up. Good. Now right there. Now hold it forward. Come forward. Stop. Tilt it forward. There you go. Stop. Hold it. Don't move.
James Compton of Kern County, California. He's the one who allowed him to have continuing custody, even though I submitted neglect, and also her brother had before he got custody, her brother had touched her, had fondled her, and I had that information that her brother had. It was substantiated by CPS. So even though it was substantiated that her brother had fondled her, her brother was 19 years old. At the time, the judge ignored it and said, I am giving custody to the father.
Yep. Thank you so much, Lisa.
There's one more judge. The last judge is Jose R., and it's spelled Benavides. And there's also a minors counsel, and she is supposed to protect the child. She's supposed to be for the best interest of the child. And her name is Stephanie Childers. And she more or less, when I asked her to please protect my daughter, she more or less laughed in my face and said she was offended.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you. The next one is, am I saying it right, Ernie?
Oh.
Go ahead,
yes.
sir.
Ernie Horton, Ernest H. Horton. Better turn my, you did turn my speaker down myself. Did something. But anyway, all these people did a lot of good things here. But my judge is Jason A. Kanoy, K-A-N-O-Y, from Missouri, 43rd District. My daughter's 21. I raised her already. And this is from a child custody modification. Her mother left town. This was in 2010. And my daughter moved in with me full time. I ended up having to take off work. I'm a small town postmaster, retired now in 2012. This is a long story, so I'm trying to jam this in. The Judge Kanoy should have recused himself. This child custody modification took 4.5 years. My daughter finally graduated high school. Her mother already had left town. And finally, they had the hearing after she got out of high school. You got 4.5 years of living, raising a teenage daughter. That's a big soap opera in itself. But anyway, she got raised, and took a while to get the child support knocked off my paycheck. I had to take a year off work. Court caused PTSD, what have you. But anyway, Jason Kanoy was the 5th judge altogether, counting the child custody modification that I had filed after the divorce. And they just kept continuing. Well, he graduated from the same high school as the ex's attorney. He graduated in 85. She graduated in 88, the attorney. He was friends with the ex's mayor uncle of the same town that the judge ended up being municipal court judge in. So anyway, judicial bias, what else? Fraud upon the court, collusion.
That's right.
This is no CPS thing, but yeah, I'm sure somebody called one of those, what do you call that? Child
Predator services.
Yeah, an anonymous call, and I'm sure, okay, I'm alleging, I think you got to say alleged, don't you? I'm alleging that that other attorney made the anonymous call herself because she kept using the same thing. 4.5 years, you know, continued 3, 4, 6 months. You know what I mean? They extorted the ex's, what do you call it, inheritance. Because there was a never-ending flow of money. There are a lot of people said, follow the money. We all know that. Follow the money. Follow the money. They never gave one, let's see. They never gave one shit about my daughter. I'm not going to mince words here. You know, these people are criminals. They need to be in jail. We're the ones that are being punished. We're good people. I was in the United States Air Force. I took the oath to defend my country. I took an oath when as a postmaster, to protect the sanctity of people's mail and their privacy. I kept my oath, my job, just like that officer that just showed, I can't remember his name, the gentleman out of the Army.
Wayne.
I mean, an officer is an awesome person. I mean, you know, I wasn't an officer. I was a non-commissioned, and I partied and, you know, and I had to go to see the officer because I got in trouble for farting in public or something, you know what I mean? But anyway, yeah, see, that's PTSD. I'm really irritated at the system, like you guys are too. But that gentleman there is an awesome guy. I already know that. You know what I mean? He's at attention. He's at attention right now. He's got officer in him all the way. How long has he been out? You know what I mean? These people need to be jailed. Okay, 43rd District. I was going to say a lot more, but 2 minutes isn't enough for, you know, all this time. Oh, I end up having to pay $200 a month child support and $400 a month spousal support. I haven't paid a penny of that. They're going to start garnishing my retirement at some point. Then I'm going to go to court. You know what I mean? And then I'm not going to say, Your Honor, and be quiet all the time and this and that. They can take me to jail. You know what I mean? I'm just going to tell them they're all criminals, and the bailiff better not touch me because I'll sue his ass too. You know what I mean? I'm just waiting for the right time. But I paid the child support. You know what I mean? I paid it. I had to pay $400 a month because it took half for my daughter, half for the ex. After she was paid off 21, when she turned 21, I quit paying altogether. So they're coming. I got jury duty too. I got in trouble for that. But anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ernie. Thank you.
And
oh, I'm sorry.
And thank you very much.
Thank you. Now I'm going to go back to Corrine because I see you have one more person. So go ahead and you can speak and say your name. I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Amy Crawford. I'm from Berks County in Pennsylvania, and I'm calling out Judge Lash. The first day you met me and my children, we were there with Women in Crisis. You read the PFA and saw that my ex raped me and was mentally abusive. You knew that he put through a false PFA through his family that worked in the courthouse, but you still made me drop mine, or you wouldn't drop his lies. You failed to protect me and my children for 17 years. You gave me primary custody, but knowing that my kids were ripped out of my hand, my son being autistic, and a dramatic hardship he went through that day, you still let Dad have them that weekend, for the first weekend, knowing they're away from the mom. I've been drugged into court for 17 years straight. 17 years. You want to say I have PTSD? Right here it is from the doctor. Post-traumatic stress disorder from the abuse of father from 2 different doctors. Yes, I know my ex's connections, and you are one of them. You, Judge Lash, are an ex-patient of my kid's father. You should step down because you have not made good decisions. Do you want to know how he got 50-50, Judge Lash? Here's my son on a ventilator, and Dad lied and said that the court date was continued when it wasn't. I had to rush home from Philadelphia and come to the courthouse with wet hair and no legal representation. And I was bullied, and I lost my children 50-50. You want to say that I didn't have a stable home? Does this not look like a house to you? It is a 4-bedroom single home in a new development. So don't tell me my kids aren't safe in that house. Now I'm on to you because you want to get a guardian item that my ex handpicked and a psychologist that he handpicked and paid $6,500 to. May I add, that's 3 times the cost of any kind of psychological evaluation in Reading, Pennsylvania. Well, guess what? I'm on to you guys. And the closer I get, you guys keep on making up false allegations. That's right. They filed a fake claim to the nursing board and medical board of Pennsylvania saying that I was a drug addict, that I was an alcoholic, that I was psychotic, that I was on hallucinated drugs. Are you kidding me? I am a pediatric intensive care nurse for 8 years. I've worked with children for 25 years. I am an adopted parent in Pennsylvania. So if I am so unstable, how do I have my son when he's 5 years old, but you're saying that I can't take care of a 16-year-old? I'm on to you guys. And as you can see, I went to the state psychologist, and I passed everything. When we come back into your courtroom, they better have a great explanation why my son has not been taken to reunification in over a year. There better be a great explanation, and I want you to not go hide in your little closet room with 2 lawyers, and I want you to sit and look through my file because I have all the evidence to prove that you're all corrupt. You told me that I should just forget about what happened and let it go, to stop playing victim. Well, guess what? I'm done playing victim, and now I'm a fighter, and you better wish that I was still the victim. And I'm speaking on my behalf of myself and all the other families that you have torn apart. Look at your reviews on the computer. You need to educate yourself on domestic violence. You need to educate yourself on parent alienation. You need to educate yourself on narcissistic personality disorder. That's right. The devil does not always come in the red suit.
Ooh.
I'm done.
Standing ovation. Thank you. Did I get you, Vicky? No, right? You're next. Okay, go ahead, honey.
Hi, Francesca. I would like to expose Patricia Ann Muscarella.
Okay, just say your name. Say your name and what you do. You're an advocate.
Okay, well, you know I'm eager. My name is Vicky Nadeau. I am a mother advocate under the umbrella of a project called Justice Speaks Up. I am the founder, leader, admin, and coordinator for a support group by the name of Listen to the Children. I'm also an admin for a support group for parents being harassed by DCF, which stands for Department of Children and Families, for anyone who does not know. The leader and founder of that group is Pam Bachenhoven-Solman. And I'm also the admin for World Observer Call to Action. The leader and founder of that group is Mitch Smith. Justice Speaks Up is West Coast. I am in Florida. And my daughter, when she was 9 years old, was stolen from me by CPS on false allegations. There was a call made to me, made against me that I was abusing my elderly father, whom I myself moved my children in with when we were deserted by my ex-husband, my daughter's father, and there was no contact from him for 18 months. It's a long story. To sum it up, the Judge Muscarella had given my ex-husband, who is a registered pedophile, custody of my daughter. That the CPI took my daughter. It wasn't even anything to do with the actual allegation that was made against me. There was no reports made against the reason why she took her. There are 2 judges that I would like to actually expose, because in most recent, actually, I've taken my ex-husband back to court because he has kept me from seeing my daughter against all court orders for over 18 months. I haven't seen her in over 9 months. And I do have pictures. It's on my phone, so hopefully it will work. This is Patricia Ann Muscarella. I don't know if you can pick that up.
Bring it in a little bit. Hold it, hold it. Dishonorable judge who gives child to registered sex offender. Go ahead. And next.
Okay, and the next one, and actually I have the most recent profile of my registered sex offender husband as well, ex-husband. Oh gosh. There's the most recent picture on him. Now this one is Judge Covert. This is the one who gave, just recently went against.
Right there. Okay.
His name is Thane Covert. When I took my husband to court just recently, my ex-husband to court just recently for not letting me see my daughter for over a year, he denied me the right to an attorney, as did Judge Muscarella in the first case. It was an 8-hour hearing. It was a divorce hearing, but it ended up only being 5 minutes about my divorce. And it ended up only being about 2 minutes of an actual decision. The rest of the 8 hours was arguing back and forth about who got my daughter. My ex-husband, he admitted on the stand to the judge that he beat me bloody in front of my daughter several times. My daughter's now 14 years old. I've missed her last 2 birthdays. The key points are, Judge Muscarella, you gave a child to a registered pedophile of a minor child under the age of 16 years of age. You gave a child to a man who had deserted her for over a year with no contact, no support, and no visitation or anything, and then just let a CPI throw her at him like he's a hero. Judge Muscarella, you also allowed a man who openly admitted to deserting, as I said, to beating bloody a child's mother in front of her. You forced a 9-year-old little girl to go to the man who she thought she was finally away from that scared the life out of her. You forced a 9-year-old little girl to have to look at him every day and remember what she saw her mommy go through. Shame on you. Shame on you, Patricia Ann Muscarella, and you were expelled from Pasco County for doing the same things a month before I was in front of you. Then you just got transferred. Judge Covert, oh, and Judge Muscarella, I have a constitutional right to have an attorney in front of, with me to represent me. You denied me that right while my ex-husband had his attorney. Shame again on you. Judge Covert, Thane Covert, Pinellas County. Both of these judges are Pinellas County, 6th Judicial Circuit, Group 19. Judge Thane Covert, there's a court order saying that I'm allowed visitations every other weekend with my daughter. No matter how old it is, it's still the one in standing. I held my ex-husband in contempt for not letting me see her for over a year. I stood firm and did not answer any questions you had because I had the right constitutionally to an attorney. You denied me my constitutional right twice in the same hearing over the phone. I was over the phone. Shame on you, because you did not force my ex-husband to comply with the court orders. You 2 judges should not be on the bench. Both of you should be disbarred because you are the abusers. You 2 are the abusers by giving innocent little children who cannot speak for themselves and are not allowed to speak up and say what they know and say what they see and say what they go through. You know nothing about them. You know nothing about their feelings. That's why my group is called Listen to the Children, and it's time to listen to them, Judge Muscarella and Judge Covert.
Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you.
Jody Mueller.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Jody Mueller. I'm a mother of 4 children. I've lost all 4 children due to judges' bias. I do not have a CPS case. I've never done a drug in my life. I'm 52 years old. I've never passed a joint in a concert. I've never committed a crime. I want to call out today. I have several, so I'm going to put it up here.
Okay.
Trying to see it. Judges: Husher, Hulse, Clogg, Hefner, Mertz, and Judge Lauber. Judge Mertz was the very first one that when my children were abducted, that would have been abduction number 6 of my older two. 6. That was in April of 2013. I didn't see my children that time for 28 days. When I got into the hearing, Judge Mertz asked why my ex had not seen my twins. I said, I don't know. You'd have to ask him. He only chooses 2 of the 4. They're all his. She said, he's going to see them tonight. I said, well, it's been 5 or 6 weeks. She goes, why is that? I said, he doesn't like the twins and never has. He kidnapped my older 2 when they were 2 and 4 years old in the middle of my baby shower for my twins and said one twin wasn't his because she had different blood type, which was my father's. So when I was appearing in front of Mertz, she said, the twins will go to him tonight or you, young lady, will go to jail. My twins are scared of him. When they got there, they got underneath the bed of my daughter because they didn't have beds. He won't give them beds. Mm-hmm. So they hid underneath the bed for 24 to 28 hours. Judge Mertz also made us go to Children in the Middle together. I told her I was afraid of him. She said, he doesn't look scary. I said, neither did Ted Bundy. But he's very scary, and all he has to do is go, And he's very narcissistic, and he uses everything against you. Anyway, when I said, I haven't seen my older 2 in 28 days, she said, then 29 won't matter. Because the older 2 have to get used to coming back. They have to get used to coming back to you. Well, I'm the primary parent, always was. After he kidnapped them the first time, that was 28 days as well. I didn't know where they were for about a week. I lost 22 pounds in that 20-some days. I didn't see them. I had my twins. I couldn't nurse them. He came and even took our penny jar. I saw him running across the lawn with it. He took everything. He cleaned out my joint checking account. He cashed checks that were from the state for me. He did whatever he could do to ruin me financially and emotionally. I did get the kids back. I was primary all their life. The first 3 years after he took those first 2, he saw our kids 4 times in 3 years. We finalized the divorce in 2003. I was still primary. I would get child support here and there, whatever. Sometimes it was $17, sometimes $23. He now makes 6 figures. He's a pilot. He saw our kids from 2003 to 2012, approximately 30, maybe 40 days total. When he would come, I would go pick him up. I would bring him to my house, let him bond with the kids. I would vacate or whatever, or we'd go to dinner together. In October 2013, he took my older 2 for the very last time from the back door of the school. I went the following day to get the children. The principal said they're scared of you, that you can't see your children. I called the police. They said, you can't have the children. I said, you're not supposed to get involved. I'm walking out with them. I'm never going to see them again. My father, who was dying, came to the door and said, she'll never see him again. I was right. 4 months go by. Now we're at February 2014. My dad died, and the following day I had a hearing. I told the judge, Hulse, that my children didn't show up to my dead father's memorial, 12 blocks from their home. Their dad didn't tell them he had died. I told him I needed custody of these kids, and he says, nope, they're scared of you. The GAL, Jane Rosine, said they're scared of you. I said, they're not scared of me. I said, I need to tell them goodbye. I said, I'll never see him again. And he said, you be patient, young lady. Now, it had already been 4.5 months, and I said, don't you see the writing on the wall? I'm never going to see these kids again. He didn't care. He gave him primary. I went to his door for 3 months. I took my twins, and I said, I'm begging you, let us see these children. These children have been raised together. They want to see each other. He did a Vanna White move and said, take a look. He said, get the hell off our property. I left him a note and I said, we're going to be here for 3 more months. And after that, I'm moving to Texas. I can't take it anymore. I can't function here. He says, I don't care. Get the hell off my porch. My court order is very different than everybody else's. I can move. My ex is a pilot. My kids can fly for free. I was never told I cannot move. I told the judge that he can't move because I got a child that's with Asperger's. He cannot move my kid, my son. So I made him stay in Iowa. I was like, you want to move to Iowa, to my state from New York? You're going to stay in Iowa in hell. You know, that's what it is. It's a frozen tundra. So anyway, we left Texas. 9 months later, he did it to my twins. He told a PTA lady that's seen my kids twice to get on an airplane in the middle of the night. I haven't seen my twins since March 19, 2015. Okay, now, because I've got one kid that's now suicidal, Judge Husher tells my kids they have to initiate contact with me. Children that are alienated cannot initiate contact. I said, they'll kill themselves. They'll kill themselves. One of them has now been in a mental hospital. I drove 720 miles to tell the school counselor she wants to die. And 3 hours later, I was in jail. They made up false allegations, and I was in jail for interference with official acts because I wouldn't hand him my driver's license, which I was never asked to hand him.
Mm-hmm.
So I also want to report that the Polk County Deputy Sheriff is Steve Wink. After that was dismissed by the Polk County District Attorney, he sent me a notification of trespass, says I cannot be at the school, at any school that Dallas Center Grimes has, whether it's kindergarten, whatever. So now I can't even pick up my nephew when I'm in town. The cops in Texas have not put that woman in jail, the PTA lady. She still runs free and gets to enjoy her children. I want to show you real quick before I go. This used to be my daughter, my 21-year-old. She was 17.
Mm-hmm.
She is now being taught to read the Quran. She's now said on Twitter, I need my head severed. Okay? She said that ISIS is peaceful. My ex is an Irish Christian man. He was dating a Muslim doctor from Des Moines, Jasmine Link, who's forcing my kids to read the Quran. This used to be my son.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is the only graduation picture I have. My ex told the photographer not to sell me pictures. My son is 19. He's in pre-med. He changed his degree to psychology. He says, I have to know what happened to my head. I don't remember my childhood. I've seen this boy 4 hours in 4 years.
Oh.
I've seen my oldest 5 minutes. This is my Courtney. That's the last I've seen.
I'm sorry.
She was 14. She's now 17. This is my Kylie, her twin.
Mm-hmm. Are they all 18 and over?
No, my twins are 17.
Okay, because I can't have people under 18 being shown. I'm sorry.
Well, okay.
Go ahead. It's okay.
Well, unfortunately, that's what they look like 4 days before they said they're being abused.
Yep.
Now, this is what I have for pictures. I have no pictures. I have no children, and I have a closet behind me full of totes with memories that mean nothing. Nothing because of these judges. I have nothing left. There's nothing left to even live for. I've been on the edge of the Grand Canyon, and I want you damn judges to know I've stood 3 inches from the edge of that Grand Canyon, and I wanted to jump until some man came up and said, where are you from? And I said, Iowa, and he says, Christ is demonic. And I said, I know, something's not right. He said, you're losing because of gay marriage in Iowa. That's why you're losing. Because they want to be politically correct all the way around. And he says, where are you going to go if you jump? I said, I'm going to hell, and I don't care. I don't care. And he said, he's going to be right there with you then. That's the only thing that backed me up. And right after I did, 20 minutes later, another mother jumped from that same spot. Another mother from the same rock. 20 minutes after I was there, I was standing right there. And right after she jumped, parental alienation came to my head. Just boom. And that's the first time I heard it. I mean, I'd heard it in Children in the Middle briefly. It needs to be in all the children in the middle classes, all the co-parenting. They have to change this. It's antiquated crap. People are laughing in Children in the Middle classes. They're not paying attention. You can look up parentingcenter.org in Texas. It's amazing. The co-parenting classes, they're amazing. They're 6 weeks long. It's $240. Men and women are sitting together. They're engaged. Nothing like this children in the middle crap of Iowa. It's bullshit. But I created my group. I'm the founder of Parental Alienation Awareness Iowa because of you judges. And I want you to know I have 1,400 parents, and over half of those are from Iowa. And 99% of them are mothers. And I had 4 calls on Mother's Day. Moms from Iowa saying, I'm going to kill myself. One of them already did on Thanksgiving, hung herself. Her daughter's in my group now, wanting to know what happened to her head. And I'm the FCLU chapter president of Iowa. And this is my last picture from my daughter who painted it before she left.
Turn it over to a little bit to the side, honey.
And she knew that was my favorite saying. Life is not about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. Well, there's nothing to dance for anymore. I raised these kids. I taught them all how to walk. Now they turn away from me. I taught them how to talk. They don't speak to me. They don't answer texts. They don't answer emails. They're not allowed to. They've told me we're not allowed to love you. We're not allowed to love you. I taught them all how to drive. I've never seen them get a license. I'll never see them wear a wedding dress. I've never seen them wear a homecoming dress. I've never seen my son take a first date out. This is so unfair when all these judges have families and we have nothing left. I've spent $100,000 on litigation. I've lost my job with UPS. 15 delays of hearings. $40,000 in debt from medical bills. And that frickin' Judge Husher tells me the court realizes you have PTSD because your kids have been abducted 8 times, so you can't mother your kids. I'll tell you something, Husher. I'll sue your effing ass for an ADA violation, and I'll sue you for HIPAA. You can't bring that up in a court of law. That's not in my evidence. I have evidence that says I'm a great mother, and that my only trigger is not seeing my children.
That's right.
That's it. I don't have guns. I don't have knives. I'm not violent. But I'm going to sue every damn one of them. And I'm not stopping until they're all in prison. And to me, the fight isn't about 50-50. People need to get that out of their head. Who gives a damn? These narcissistic pricks or bitches, they don't care. They're still going to violate these damn orders. They're still going to violate them. We need judicial accountability, period. That's what we need. We need judicial accountability and quit allowing violation of orders, quit allowing people to mentally abuse our children. And that includes guardian ad litems, these damn lawyers that are uneducated. We need education for these people and mental health providers that are forming therapeutic alliances with our children that are mentally abused. Are you kidding me? The first red flag you could see is when the abuser, whether it's a man or a woman, goes in and talks to the counselor ahead of time. Who does this crap?
Yeah.
You go in there and you plant the seed of false abuse. Bullshit. Are you stupid or something? No. You don't have to be in there. Why are you in there? Get the hell out of there. And these judges should not take these children in the back of the chambers. What were these judges before? Failed lawyers? What are they? The one in Texas was a damn CPA, and he changed my jurisdiction to Iowa. I said, are you doing their math homework? Then don't take these children in the jam chambers. Or we're going to start turning it on you and saying you touched our children. You tried defending yourself on a false negative. We'll just turn it around on you because those kids should not be in there as far as I'm concerned.
Jody, I want to validate you right now because there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. And a lot of people are actually sending me messages saying, which post-traumatic stress disorder is not a mental illness. It's an injury caused by trauma, which is completely reversible, and reversing it would be returning your children because you wouldn't have had this prior and you won't have it after you get them back. And we don't want to reform these courts. We want to completely obliterate them. They are not serving the public. I am not for reforming them. I'm first of all, can you reform Satan? If you can reform Satan, come talk to me.
No,
okay?
It needs to be abolished, and all these need to be in criminal court.
That's right, they do. So I have to mute you now, and I'm sorry, but thank you very, very, very much. And I validate you. Thank you. Tamara, you're next.
Hi, my name is Tamara Sweeney. My case is Sweeney. I started a nonprofit called lovedominates.com. I won't explain the message right now. You can go to the site. My docket number is 2012-11558. I'm in Montgomery County, PA, one of the most corrupt, disgusting counties. My dishonorable judge, her name is Rhonda Lee Danielle. She does not care about anyone. She's been named a terroristic judge. It's constant harassment. I've been in the court system since 2012. I am a targeted parent. My case is about parental alienation. I have 4 children. At the time, they were 10, 12, 14, and 16. My youngest had open heart surgeries. I was married 19 years, the primary caregiver for 17, and I worked. I also was a stay-home mom, and this judge wiped me of everything. I haven't seen my kids in almost 7 years. My youngest, I had 50-50 so that my ex could still control me. He wiped out all my bank accounts. I mean, this case is about gaslighting. They hired a psychic, believe it or not. I married a man I didn't know. I can only say so much, but I didn't know who he was. He lived a separate life. He was gone 6 weeks out of 6 weeks gone, home on the weekend, gone 6 weeks. That was my life, married. So when I was married, I was a single mom. Once I filed for divorce, was strong enough to ask for divorce, I started realizing what was going on. But the threats and ultimatums came in. He told my children they could kill me, that I deserve it, and they would get away with it because they were underage. I showed the judge, I've had 5 lawyers. They all have the same patterns. They drop you right before a trial. They don't show your evidence. I know all the games in the court system. Yeah. It's ex parte communication. It's always the opposing counsel, my ex, with the judge. You know, my kids testified against me. I mean, if you ask anyone, I was a very loving mom. I'm not perfect by any means, but I was a damn good, proud mom. And that was my most important job, being a mother. And I didn't know who this man was until I asked for that divorce. So I went through gaslighting. He hired a psychic, did all this gaslighting through the house. I had no idea what was going on. I didn't even know what the term gaslighting was. Then they tried to frame me with drugs. They tried to say I was bipolar. They tried to 302 me and put me in a mental home. I mean, the things I went through were astronomical. And I mean, I'm homeless. I'm living with my father. I lived out of my car. I mean, I lived in a 4,000 square foot house by myself when I was married, raising my kids alone. And then, you know, the threats, the ultimatums, the lawyers would not put in my evidence. So I ran down to the prothonotari's office. I scanned in over 800 pages of domestic abuse, of threats and ultimatums. She totally, her exact words was, she handed the binder back to me and said, "Do you think I'm going to read this over the weekend? This is Judge Danielle." This is what she said. I mean, I could have been raped. I could have been murdered. She would not do a thing. This needs to be stopped. We, the people, are the government. That's what we need to start doing. We are the government. If we all become united, we can bring the control and the power back to the parents. We deserve to raise our children in our own homes, the way we want to raise them. It might not be, the best way, but both mother or father, I'm not being biased, we are the only ones that have the best interest of our child. We are the only ones that love our children. But these judges are ripping us apart. They're intentionally destroying us, intentionally harming our children. raping them, drugging them, abusing them in these homes. It's the devil's institution.
Yeah.
And my main thing and my main message is love is the ultimate power. If we bring love and we bond all together, we can beat the devil. We can absolutely beat the devil with our message. You know, love dominates. Love dominates. If everyone's wearing some sign of love, start spraying the courthouses with holy water. I don't care. It is time to beat the devil. Anyway, I love my children. I send messages to them all the time. I have not been able to see them. I don't even know what they look like. I've heard he has destroyed them. They're failing out of college. They have DUIs. They're doing drugs. But my ex is a multimillionaire and has built his empire, and my children are not held accountable for anything they do. My ex is not held accountable for anything he does. They rule the world, and he paid the judges. I'll say it out loud. He's paid all the therapists. He's paid everyone. Follow the money. It's all about the money. Thank you, and keep doing it. You're doing a great job.
Thank you so much, Tamara. Thank you. I'm gonna skip Brian for a minute, right, Brian? Gonna save you. Okay. So Linda Mount, you're next.
Hello.
Hello.
My name's Linda Mount.
Linda, I need you to speak a little louder. I think your volume is down. I don't know if you can put it up. Give her a second to get ready there. As long as she didn't fall. Where'd you go?
Hello. My name's Linda Mount.
Okay.
And I'm here to call out Judge Robert Stewart from Athens County, Athens, Ohio.
Athens, Ohio. Okay.
Denied me my grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
And
Linda, now we can't see you. There you are. Hold on. Okay, go ahead, Linda.
All righty. Judge Robert Stewart has denied me my grandchildren. I've done everything possible trying to get them home. My daughter's been sent away for child abuse, something that she didn't do. My grandson has a metabolic bone disease. I have proof from a doctor, but they will not accept this.
That's what they do.
They say it was timed out. So now I am fighting for my grandbabies. And I've done everything possible trying to get them and being denied every time. And this has been going on for 2 years. I'm not even allowed to see them. And they also said my grandson has shaken baby syndrome. That was ruled out by another doctor saying it was not shaking baby syndrome. It was cataracts. So they performed surgery on my grandson's eye, and now he's blind in that eye. There is abuse going on. My other grandson, there's nothing wrong with him, but they took him too, kept him, will not let me see him or have him, and got him in counseling on medication. He does not need it. And they're telling that Jace has a heart, might need surgery. So now they're wanting to put him through surgery, do a heart surgery. It's horrible. I can't take it no more.
I understand. So can you just say his name one more time, loud and clear? Dishonorable Judge
Robert Stewart from Athens, Ohio.
I know Athens, Ohio very well. Yeah. We will keep an eye on that area. We will be keeping an eye on that area.
There's other family members too that's got the same problem with the disease, and they will not accept it being a metabolic bone disease. They want.
Well, they just don't accept evidence anyway. They can't do the harm if they do.
Yeah, they're wanting to blame it on child abuse.
Yeah, They are the child abusers. Thank you for your story, Linda. Thank you for coming forward.
And then thank you. I just want my babies home where they belong, and we love them and we miss them. And I thank you for what you're doing.
You're welcome. Stand together.
All right, and thank you.
You're welcome. Joyce?
Yes. Hi. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you're good. Go ahead.
Good. Okay, because I had problems before. I'd like to call out Judge Karen Laguercio, dishonorable Karen Laguercio, from West Islip, Long Island, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Now, she is a very corrupt judge. Just to give you a very quick, because I only have 2 minutes. Basically, what happened was I was calling out medical doctors for malpractice, and I was calling them out for doing things to me and my testing, like photoshopping on radiology images and stuff, and lying on their office visit notes about what happened in the office visit, different things like that. And when I was having medical problems, it turns out I have, I probably have cancer because they said it, but I have untreated Lyme's disease at that time, which they never diagnosed. They told me I had rheumatoid arthritis. I couldn't bend my fingers. This was 6 years ago. And then I had medical complications. I'm okay now. I just get other things going on, but whatever it is, it's slow. I could be wrong about some things, but what happened is this. They retaliated, the doctors. They tried to put me in a psych unit. They did it for a week, and then I got out. The psychiatrist said I was fine, but she gave me a prescription anyway. She didn't tell me I was fine. I got it in documentation in family court when I went pro se, because that was the only way I could get my hands on documentation that they were seeing that I wasn't able to get. And I was able to see that in the records, that there was actually a letter correspondence from the psychiatrist to outpatients that I had no psychosis. So anyway, then CPS got involved. They convinced my family that I was crazy. My family is all out of state, Ohio, upstate New York. I'm from Long Island. So what happened was then they removed my son. I quit working that summer because my medical issues were getting really bad. And the cardiothoracic surgeon was surprised I was still working. And at that, I was alerted. All bells and whistles went off. Then they took my son on Halloween of 2013. Then what happened was I was an active parent, a single mother. I don't have a husband. He doesn't have a father. He left when I was pregnant to Turkey. What happened was then, I have to go really quick. I have to make it short. So what happened basically, all right, so I was a den leader. I had already in place custody, guardianship, I should say, temporary guardianship. The appointed attorney forgot or neglected to give it to the judge, so they took my son. They sent him 300 miles away to Syracuse. Then I got a new lawyer, and he was really nice, but he got off my case after I caught the doctors. He said to try to usurp their mental illness argument to get a medical illness, you have to see new doctors. Well, then they turned that around and said I was doctor shopping. And then, yeah, of course, right?
It's because I've heard it all. I've heard it all. Go ahead.
Yeah, so then I go under a sedation, which I wasn't supposed to lose consciousness, but they put me so far under, I don't know if they anesthetized me, but what I did do is I recorded what they did to me. I had a recorder in the bag in the gurney underneath, because in New York State, one party is allowed to record, the other party doesn't have to have notice. In Connecticut, where I'm now moved, it's not the case. The state laws are different. So I recorded it, and what happened was I caught them doing things to me under sedation. They did surgery, they did biopsies, and they slipped me an abortion pill, and I did not know yet that I was pregnant, but I had a miscarriage 2.5 weeks later, and I have proof that I was pregnant. So yeah. They lied on the medical records. They lied about what they did to me. Department of Health and the police won't investigate. They denied everything. And the judge, of course, it was going along with them. She's all corrupt because she wouldn't, I ended up firing the second lawyer who got off the case because he didn't want a conflict of interest with this cardiology group because they were his cardiology practice as well. The thing is, it's more than just the group, the few doctors. It was all of North Shore LIJ, which is now Northwell Hospital, the 5th largest hospital system in the state, I mean, in the country, as well as other hospitals. And it's all corrupt. I was spied on. I was investigated. I was stalked. I was threatened. I have threat calls and recorded. And it was these doctors, they violated my son's HIPAA rights because they talked about him while I was under anesthesia and they didn't know him. He wasn't even their patient. And they talked about my son. So I have all the evidence that they were conspiring. I have evidence, this Judge Karen Laguercio knows very well what went on because I put it on YouTube, the entire recording of what they did to me. I put it on YouTube.
Good for you.
And I put on my opening, I went through the entire trial. I put doctors on the stand. She would not allow me to subpoena that doctor. Other doctors ran AWOL. Other doctors never responded to their subpoenas, and she did not, she would not, what is the word? She wouldn't, not indict, whatever, I'm sorry. So she's complicit in murder because she knows what happened. She definitely knows what happened. She lied. She lost, she lied on transcripts. There was everybody in that courthouse, every guard and everybody in the, I was like the star because I walked in, everybody knew me. They knew that she was protecting the doctors and not my son. My son didn't need protection from me. She needed protection from the doctors. She needed my son needs protection from her. Basically, I went to appellate court, and so what happened was, just to quickly wrap it up, it was all entrapment. And then I asked for my son to get guardianship after this whole trial, lunacy trial. Of course, I didn't win because no matter what the evidence is said, because there was even another psychiatrist, she wanted me to compel me to forensic psychiatrist with a friend of hers. I would not go. So I said, no, I'm going to give my brother guardianship. That's where he is. And they forced him into foster care. And I said, why? Because he's already a guardian. They said, oh no, he has to go for classes and you have to get foster care. Then they were saying, okay, then you're going to have him released for adoption if you don't go to forensic psychiatry testing. I said, I'm not doing that. I'm giving my brother guardianship, kinship guardianship. But then that was in January of 2015. In May, they denied, they knew where it was in the process. Meanwhile, the judge repetitively asked for me to get for the psychiatric testing. I said, no, 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 I'm getting guardianship. So then what happened in July again, they finally gave my brother who lives upstate New York a list of lawyers that he could use on Long Island to get guardianship. So we convene again in August. They say, okay, now you can have guardianship, but I read before the trial, they never give me the contract between me and my brother for guardianship. So before the trial, I sat down there, I read it, I'm like, oh my God. They're saying that I was not in agreement to guardianship. That I was the one asking for it for 8 months.
I heard it loud and clear.
Yes, I convened the court several times between that period of time, asking for it, asking for it, asking for it. They didn't know, nobody knew. When I get the paperwork for the guardianship, it was dated early April. So they were kicking, and all this time, the judge for 8 months was trying to get me into psychiatric care because it had nothing to do with my son. It had to do with her protecting the doctors.
That's right.
They're paying her to get me diagnosed so they get off the hook for murder and assault. That makes her complicit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you, Joyce.
I'm not done. I'm not done with them. I took some time off for my own mental health. I think I have PTSD, but you know what? I have other stuff going on. So I'm probably, I'm definitely, I had a break, and now you have to take care of yourself. To get through this, you have to take care of yourself. I'm not done.
No, we're not done. We're an army. We're an army strong. We're not even close to done. Thank you so
Every
much.
council in that room was complicit. They were all on the same page.
Well, just so you know, I'm not going to say who, what, where, and how, but massive investigation is going on right now. Hold it up.
Can you see this?
Yes. Yeah, medical malpractice.
This is my YouTube video. Number 14 has a synopsis of what I went through, and number 8 is the actual procedure of what they did to me. And you can listen to it. They were talking about me. They were going to use Munchausen's, which isn't even a diagnosis.
Same song and dance, different county, different state, different story. They do the same nonsense.
They will do things to you on the table while you're under anesthesia.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Joyce. Thank you. And just so you know, major investigation in the state of New York is currently underway. Major, from one end of the state to the other. That's all I'm going to say. Yes. Okay, Lori, you're next. Lori Nicholson.
Hello.
Hello. 2 minutes, guys. 2 minutes. We're going to have to wrap it up. We won't have recording time. Go ahead.
Okay, guys. Hi, my name is Lori. I am an alienated mother of 3. I initiated a group here in Erie County called Parental Alienation Awareness, PA. I want to say hello to the other 3 women from Pennsylvania. I'm very proud of you, Amy, especially. Tamara, we're going to join forces. I want you guys to know my personal story for the last 10 years. My 3 children have been involved within the court system, the family court system, because I wanted a divorce. Due to the thickness of our file, I'm going to keep this together. It was a very highly contentious, high conflict, nonstop back and forth, false allegations through OCY, to the point that when they came into our home, I was telling them how to do their job. There were things that were going on the other side, however, never followed through. However, the continued false allegations kept going on our side, on this side. To this day, I have not seen my children. I have 3. I have not seen my son in 1,254 days. My other son I have not seen in 703 days. My daughter I have not seen in 484 days. Most recently, we went to court on Monday. I'm going to call out the dishonorable Joseph Walsh III. He listened to 3 court orders that were, no, more than that, at least 4 to 5 court orders that he wrote, that he put out there, that were violated, entirely violated. I have 0 contact with my children. False emails have been supplied. My children have been taken out of the country. My children, the most recent thing, there is a 250-mile radius. My children have been taken 600 miles away. I can tell you everything stopped when the therapist did not show up for the court hearing. However, he supplied the actual report as he was directed to do. I can tell you this time that all of us parents are missing, whether you be a mom, a dad, I don't care who you are, a grandparent. We're never going to regain our time, and we need to fight for our children. I'm also going to call out Elizabeth Judge Kelly for placing a 5-year litigation cap on my case. Everything that happened in those 5 years, the more that happened, the more he got away with, my co-parent. I'm also going to call out dishonorable John Garhart.
who turned a contempt petition into a family court hearing. I lost custody of my children, taking the co-parent in for contempt. Okay, I had to go through supervised visits. I have never been deemed neglectful, abusive, any of it, nothing. The school knows me very well. I'm very highly involved with my children. In fact, I have a 10-year-old here in this house who is also alienated of her siblings. So I don't want to go over the 2 minutes. I just want everybody to know we're doing everything we can. Tamara, I'm joining forces with you. I'm hoping everybody in our group here feels comfortable. I know they do. Our group is growing daily. So thank you for this opportunity. I'm hoping we can change things. Thank you. And thank you to all of you parents out there for sharing your stories. Thank you, Lori. Toriano. Oh, hold on. Okay, there you go, Toriano.
Okay, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Toriano Knuckleberger. Back then, I was called Toriano Browning, and my daughter's name is Messiah Browning. And there's two judges that I wanted to call out. One of them's name was T. Sullivan, and that was my dependency court judge. She violated my due process rights. She made me stand outside during the trial for the custody of my daughter, and she also handed custody over to the lady that was kidnapping my daughter. So that's one. And the second judge is Judge Davion Mitchell, and she also violated my due process rights, and she also has some Brady violations because she didn't tell me the information about my daughter until after I had already pled out to another charge of threatening the person that took off with my daughter. So both judges were in cahoots with each other. The Judge Davion called the Judge Sullivan in court, so I know that they were speaking to each other, and they worked together to cover up, I believe, what really happened to my daughter. And that's all.
Thank you so much, Toriano. Thank you. I'm gonna go to Leslie Bauer.
No.
Did you say no?
No.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. Sorry. Then I'm going to go to Della. If you're available, Della Blankenship.
Oh, I ain't got nothing to say.
Okay. And then finally, because we don't have any time left, I'm going to finish it with, wait, did I get everyone here? Yeah, I'm going to finish it with Brian.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus. You know, I want to first call out every judge across the nation that sits and watches these abominations and does absolutely nothing to stop the proliferation of abuse that's damaging our children. You know, I find it a bit ironic that this Million Parent March, I'm in a debate in another chat group with people saying that all women shouldn't go to this Million Parent March because it's a men's agenda and all this stuff. This is a children's issue. This is a human rights issue. You know, I don't know what just happened, but
no, I don't want whatever that is. Keep going. Just keep going. I'll get rid of it. This
yeah.
is not
Okay. Thank you. You know, and I just sit there and I watch these things, whereas everybody wants to make about an issue something that it's not. What we need to do is get to the hardcore facts, and the hardcore facts is that I think we can all agree that lying is wrong. And predominantly what transpires in these courts arena is that one party or the other, male or female, will tell a falsehood. That falsehood is accepted as the gospel. But if we're really wanting to do the best for our children, we need to bring accountability of and from the judiciary and take and hold everybody responsible, because it's all of our responsibility. How many people does it take to raise a child? It takes a family, you know, and that is, we don't have to live together, but we have to
consider the best interest for this child. And I just think that we have to call out all the judges, but more importantly, we have to call out ourselves. We have to say we have to take a stand against these type of proliferations of abuse to stop the mundane ignorance from running rampant that's going to have a dynamic effect upon our children. And I just want to applaud each and every single parent out there, whether male or female, to let's put all this nonsense behind us about a male issue or a female issue. This is a children's issue. This is about, we have to set the stage so that our children don't have to endure the hell and conflict in which we've embraced. It's up to all of us. Let us all be judges, and let's judge the judges, and let's judge ourselves and say that how am I doing on protecting the best interest of the children. And for women to come out and say that, you know, the men have a hidden agenda, well, I'm going to say this. Any man that doesn't protect a woman is in error. But any man that would sit and turn a blind eye to the infractions of a woman to say false or misleading things that would draw others to the perception that that party possessed a risk to their children is equally damaging to that child. So I just think that we have to start really hammering on the underlying issue and saying that lying is wrong. It doesn't matter whether you're in a courtroom or whether you're on the street corner. Be who you are. Let your yes be yes, your no be no, and stand for truth and righteousness. And let's fight for the children collectively, united in one voice. And I just love each and every single one of you out there, and believe that it's all going to be a great thing. It's going to be a great event.
That's right. I agree. I agree.
Thank you.
I want to tell everybody thank you so very, very much. And thank you, Brian. Thank you for, hold on, let me get rid of this big view here. Thank you, everyone, for, I'm going to actually unmute you guys.
Okay.
Thank you all for being here. I can't fit any more in because we have an X amount of time, and we're going to send this out to editing. This was actually recorded on Rights of the Few, so that'll be on there on the radio blog show, as well as my show, Punished for Protecting. I did want to also say, because we did call out Judge Anthony McGinty of Ulster County Family Court in Kingston, New York, and I did have a few others that were trying to come in to call him out, and we couldn't call him out with the other people that wanted to get in because they were having a hard time figuring out how to get in. But I agree with Brian Kinter. Bottom line is we're calling out all of you judges. We're sick and tired of what you're doing to our families in America. We're sick and tired of what you've been doing for years to children. I don't know how you sleep at night. You cannot be human. There's no possible way that any human being would sit in a position of some kind of power, harming families the way you do, harming children the way you do, and go to sleep at night and go on vacation, go back to work the next day, and sit there in your vile courtrooms and continue to make decisions like this. You put my child and I on a missing persons. You exploited my son. You exploited me. You endangered both of our lives. We have a federal address in every state in the country, confidential, in which you place my child in the same place of the person that we have a protection address from. And you took my child off an order of protection that was given to him finally after years of abuse. So here's the thing, okay? We are no longer taking your nonsense. We're not taking it anymore because we've realized who we are. We see who we are. We've studied our laws, and we know that you're violating all of that. You're violating parental laws, state laws, family court laws, and federal laws, okay? And you're violating our Constitution of America that our country is built on. You're violating that, and if you don't understand it, go back to your books then, because that's what you do. So we are holding you accountable. We have judged the judges. We're going to continue to judge the judges. And our next step, we're going after CPS, Child Predator Services. That's our next step. We are an army. We are huge. We're not going to take it anymore, and we're growing in leaps and bounds, and we, the people, have spoken. We have spoken. So let's give a big hand.
Love you. Awesome job. Awesome job.
Thank you, and thank you. And we're not going to stop. And if you guys want to say, I give a shout out to my son. I love you more than anything in this world. I miss you, and my heart is broken. My heart is broken for all of you and all your kids, but we're going to get it back.
Love you, Lisa.
God bless you all, and have a good night.
To my three, I love you. To the moon and back.
Love you so much, Lisa Mariah. You're gonna be
Thank
home
you,
soon, baby girl. I love you.
Thank you,
Francesca. This is all of us. All of us.
See you at the march with my guitar on my back.
I'll be there with camera crew.
There you go. Love dominates, Tamara. Love dominates. Love over hate.
Love over hate.
Yep, love over hate.
Love you all.
Except one thing we do hate. We hate injustice. We hate child abuse. We
Yes.
hate domestic violence.
Yes.
We hate drug addiction that's harming children. We hate sex abuse on children. That's something that we do hate because God loves and God does hate.